I would like to start the show with a point of clarification because on Mondays after games, emotions run high. And even though I'm not going to change anything that I said yesterday during 1st and 10, I feel it's important to clarify a few things so that I ensure that people hear what I'm saying, which is the point of communication. It's not about what I say. It's about what people ultimately take in. And also to make sure that everyone doesn't think I'm an idiot, which I care deeply about, very on a deeply personal level. I started off the show yesterday in 1st and 10 saying that the number one reason why the Commanders lost is Sam Howell had a really bad game. That is still true. I then talked about the reasons why, the throws he missed, the missed protection calls, the, mental mistakes, the physical mistakes, all of it. All that stuff happened. There's just no denying it. And in fact, later in the show, we're going to go through pretty much the entire first half, and I'll go play by play and tell you where the mistakes were made. And I think what happened was when I did that, and of course, because we know what we're doing. Like, we want you to click on the stuff that we do. People are like, oh, it's clickbait. Now, clickbait is when you say something like, I don't know, are there aliens on planet Earth? And it's like, no, there is no evidence of aliens on planet Earth. Like, that's clickbait. I said what turned out to be a juicy headline, admittedly, which is that the number one reason the Commanders lost is because Sam Howell had a bad game. And some people even watched some of that or listened to some of that, and then it's like they rage quit, Madden style. But the segment's called 1st and 10, and number 2 was about Eric Bieniemy and the play calling and how that could have worked. And we talked at different points in the show about how bad the offensive line was. And so my point of clarification today is merely to say that the offensive line was also terrible on Sunday are largely terrible on Sunday, and that if you did not take that out of yesterday's show, I apologize for not being more vociferous in voicing that, but I'm not a complete idiot who thinks that the offensive line actually was awesome. Now, I realize also why people think that is because people think that the offensive line has been terrible all year, and that's where I just can do nothing but tell you that they haven't been. Sunday was different. Sunday was the worst game the offensive line played all year, and there's a multitude of reasons for that, and that doesn't mean they're responsible for every protection breakdown. And I think the other disconnect between the analysis from yesterday, which I dove in even deeper to today and watching some more things, some things for the 3rd and 4th times. We recorded Take Command film review this morning, so that's always really enlightening in what Logan sees when he watches the tape with his eye. But the other disconnect seems to be, I think a lot of people are focused on the sacks. And of the 6 sacks, there's really one that's mostly Sam's fault. It's the one where Pinnock, the DB, comes off the edge. And honestly, I can't even for sure say it's Sam's fault because I don't know what protection calls are available to him at the line of scrimmage. But you'd have to think, based off what the Giants were showing pre-snap, that they would slide the line that way because it's a clear and obvious blitzer to anyone who has played that position and played offensive football or knows enough, even my level, to be like, oh, what do you look for when you get to the line of scrimmage? How do you know who's coming when all those dudes are standing there? One of the things you look for is like, okay, if they're blitzing, it's probably man-to-man behind it. So which defenders are lined over which of my receiving targets? And Pinnock, the DB for New York, is lined up over nobody. And it's like, well, he's not there to play coverage on anyone. He's there because he's coming to kill me. And they left him unblocked. And yeah, Sam had like 0.9 seconds to throw on that one or whatever the actual number was. It's probably like 1.2. But not enough time to even reach the back of his drop because you have a lightning fast DB coming off the edge unblocked. Yeah, like that's no chance, but it's Sam setting himself up on that one. The other 5 sacks, O-line. I guess 4 of the 5, but there's one on Logan Thomas where he blocks the man who actually has him in man-to-man. I think that was one of them. Maybe that was a pressure. Anyway, point is, the sacks, 5 of the 6 of them are on the protection, not on Sam. Maybe the first one he could have gotten the ball out, like if the super elite quarterbacks find a way, but most quarterbacks in the league take a sack there. And the other ones, he doesn't have much of a chance. And that's fine. But there's more. If they ran 68 plays or whatever they ran, like, that's 6. The rest of the plays, there's plenty of good pockets, and there's some bad routes, and there's some drops, and there's some bad throws, and there's some missed reads, and EB could have gotten to certain things sooner, and I still don't understand the lack of screen game. And I guess my point is this. When you score 7 points against the New York Giants, or you score 7 points against the 2000 Ravens, the 85 Bears, whatever it is, there is going to always be a multitude of factors, which makes for hellaciously boring radio, because if I just say, I don't know, it's all multifactorial, I don't have much of a show. So what I try to do is distill it down into digestible pieces to say, hey, the biggest factor is this. We can look at any given play, and maybe this, in this case, Sam Howell, had nothing to do with that particular play going wrong, which could or could not be a key play in the game. But on the whole, the biggest number of plays on Sunday go awry because of mistakes from your young quarterback. The second biggest reason is the execution of the offensive line. The third biggest reason is probably the play calling. The fourth biggest reason is the execution of the playmakers themselves. Sometimes they all went wrong on the same play. There's a play where they go empty. This is one we'll look at later. They go empty. So it's Sam, no one in the backfield with him, and it should have been a squeeze protection. It's like the one mistake that Leno makes mentally on the day, non-penalty category, because, God, they were terrible in that regard. But, like, Leno should have squeezed a little bit faster. Sam can make a better throw, and John Bates can run a better route. All true on the same play. Whose fault is that? All of them. Because if any one of them does their thing a little bit better, you probably overcome the other 2 mistakes and you get something. So, like, that is the nature of football. There are 22 dudes on the field, all who have an impact. The quarterback by nature, and this is another thing to point out in terms of context, the quarterback by nature has a bigger outsized impact on each play because he has the ball and decides what happens with it. On every single play, sans handoff, and even on handoffs, like, he could still screw it up. And that's why I said what I said. I don't want to change what I said. It's not because I won't change my mind on things if new data becomes available. I'm not Skip Bayless 20 years into LeBron's career still trying to convince you he's not that good. That's not who I am. I hate people who do that way in terms of how they do the job. That's ridiculous. But I don't think I was wrong, but I also understand why people are super upset. Some of it is confirmation bias. They don't want Sam to be bad. I'm telling you the thing that you have hope about is actually maybe not as worthy of your hope as you had thought. So it's a turn from some of the other stuff this year where Sam's been really good. It's one game. But I also can come back and see the violence of the reaction and go, a lot of these angry comments are mad about me not saying something that I actually said 5 minutes later. So that's how I'm starting today with the vibe check, is I'm hoping that as a show community, we can have a little bit healthier vibe than my Twitter mentions and my YouTube comments over the last 24 hours. At the end of the day, like, I knew it was coming, but I'm not doing a good job of being a host the way I think the job should be done if I don't come back and say, hey, I hear you guys. You're not crazy. The offensive line was also bad. Bieniemy could have been better, even if the biggest culprit yesterday or Sunday was the young quarterback at the end. It's not all on him. And that's the other thing. It's never all on one person. It's not all on Sam. I never said it was all on Sam, but that is how some people took it. So, alas, the summation of all of this, it's not all on Sam. A lot of other people had really bad days. Some of that's offensive line. Some of that's coaching. Sam did have a really bad day. And that's how you score 7 points in an NFL football game. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Now we get to your calls and the vibe check. 301-230-0980. Next, Vibe Check Tuesday underway on the Ace Law listener line.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.